Alright, you guys. So I had a little competition on my Instagram at Movie Ticket Reviews whether I should review Atomic Blonde first or the Emoji Movie. Atomic Blonde won, so let's get into this. So Atomic Blonde stars Charlize Theron as this top level MI6 agent, and she is enlisted with this task of finding this list. This list that has all these different spy names on it, and basically have to get this list so that it doesn't get into the wrong hands. However, James McAvoy's character is also looking for this list. And at times they work together, at times they're at odds with each other, and so that's kind of how their relationship goes. This entire movie is told through an interrogation, and it kind of suffers from that just because it goes back and forth between the interrogation and what's going on in Berlin. And the time period that we're in Berlin is when the Berlin Wall is about to come down, but it just goes back and forth a little too much. So let me get this out of the way. Do not, and I repeat, do not go into this film thinking you're going to see a hardcore action film, because that's not what this movie is. In fact, you probably should bring a pen and some paper with you to jot down notes as the story goes along, because this movie is very story heavy. And in fact, at one point I'm like, man, I could use an action scene about right now, and then 20 minutes later, there's an action scene. There's only like a handful of action scenes in this movie because there's so much story. It really weighs down the movie. However, the action scenes, some of them are good, then some of them are okay. Then there's this one action scene. Granted, she holds her own in the rest of the movie, but there's this one action scene where she gets her butt kicked hard, and I mean hard. But honestly, it's to the point where I'm like, are you even good at your job? Because you're really not good at this. And are you sure you're that high up on the list of the MI6 agents? Because you certainly don't really act like it. By the end of this movie, I was really confused on what was going on, because it goes left and right, then left and right, then who is this, and then what is that? It's just, I found it really confusing, and so that kind of damaged the rest of the movie for me, considering this is the main bulk of the movie. And honestly, throughout this movie, I was kind of just really confused on what necessarily was going on and who was bad, who was good. Well, some of that I actually understood, but this movie, it really bored me. Like, it really wasn't entertaining to me at all. Even the action scenes, I kind of just was done with, really. And honestly, there's multiple points where this movie could have ended. In fact, I was like, thank the Lord that's over. Okay, there's more. And that happened like about 3 or 4 times that I felt that way. And the movie just kept on continuing. And I really just was hoping that it was over, but it wasn't. There is some things that I did like about this movie, and that would be the costume design and the music. The music has like an 80s style to it, and then the costume design, it just really works for her. Like, she looks good in all the outfits, and it works for her character. In fact, I'm not the only person that found this movie fairly boring, because I've heard multiple people in my movie theater yawn, and some people more than once. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them fell asleep, to be honest, but this movie really bored me. And that's basically the part I want to get to you, is that if you're not going to be fully immersed into this story that they're going to have, then you're going to be bored. At least that's what I'm guessing, because the story it makes up a lot of this movie. So I'm going to give Atomic Blonde a 2 out of 9. I honestly view this movie as kind of a snooze fest, because I could easily fall asleep during this movie. And this has one of the original directors of John Wick. So some people thought this was going to be a movie like that, but John Wick is so much better. And if you haven't seen John Wick or John Wick 2, just go see that easily. Currently, this movie is sitting at a 74% on Rotten Tomatoes with an average rating of 6.5. Granted, I don't know why it's that high. I'm assuming the critics actually were able to follow along with the story, even though it does get really confusing. And if it loses you, then you get bored pretty easily. But if you're able to go along with the movie, I'm guessing this movie is actually fairly decent. So thank you all very much for watching, and if you like this, please hit that like and subscribe button down below to see more of this type of content. And be on the lookout for my Emoji Movie review. And that should be up maybe just like a few hours after this video. It may even be out by the time you're watching this. So check that out, and remember, no movie is a perfect 10 out of 10. God bless you all.